from the Thompson.
What a start.
Fantastic performance. It was dropped by the second slip, caught by the first slip, and England has won by 3 runs.
Well, our latest guest is a man who I thought actually on that caption there that Naught's kindly made, I thought it actually said sinner, but in fact it said spinner. And I'm delighted to welcome the man who actually, not only is he a spinner, well, he's a spinner, but he spins some of the greatest yarns on the after-dinner circuit. He's been voted 3 times best after-dinner speaker in the country. So no pressure, Geoff Miller.
Thank you, Geoff. That's very kind of you. Can I
Welcome to World's Best Cricket Club.
Can I mention one thing? You know, what you're starting out with that. I've said it many times to people. I played 34 tests. I played county cricket and international cricket for just over 20 years, and I'm remembered for 1 catch. That's it. That's all I'm remembered for. 1 catch in Melbourne. Oh, you're the fellow who caught that catch in that rebound catch in Melbourne. And that's it. That's me. And for all my
that's
career.
better than being remembered for being hit for 6 off the last over of a final, isn't it? At least you won the game.
Well, actually, I dived in to win a final as well at Lord's.
You did.
Remember.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah.
That was a very ungainly final run, actually. Didn't you collide with something, or did you fall? Oh, you dived, didn't you?
I dived. No. It was. We were in a position. Actually, we won that West in '81 by not beating Northampton in the final by same score, but losing less wickets. But we also played Essex in the semi-final and did exactly the same thing. So we won. We got through to the semi-final and the final, won it without beating the opposition in either game. Only through wickets. So, yeah, we knew. I was batting with Colin Tunnicliffe in the final. We knew that we had how many we had to get to level the scores. But if we were still there at the end, then we won it and plus the fact I didn't cheat. When I was, if you ever see it or bring it, if you want to bring it up tonight, if you've got it, you'll see that backing up. I didn't cheat. That's why I had to dive.
I'll tell you what I'll do is when our members, and welcome to all our members again tonight, when our members are asking you questions, I'll dig into the archives, the Analyst archives, and see if I can dredge it up.
Right. Okay.
So at least we don't have just your 1 catch as a memory of tonight. Now, I have to say, I said this to you just now, but before we started, but we've had something like 60 guests on this show, including literary figures like Michael Atherton and so on. And you are by far the first who had anything literary behind them. No one else has ever had any books at all. And you got a whole collection there. Go on, get the pride of place out. Get the special one out over your right shoulder there. Go on.
It's there. It's that one there.
Go on, just get it out. Get it out. Shows that it's well fun.
All the rest might fall down if I get it out, but it's a book called A Lot of Hard Yakka by Triumph and Torment, A County Cricketer's Life. You won't read a better inside story of cricket and the men who play it for a living, stated by Michael Parkinson, written by Simon Hughes.
I think I must have told Michael Parkinson to write that. Well, that's a good commercial anyway. And
I will say,
plumbed?
I will say that it actually explains very, very well the life of a county cricketer and what county cricket's all about. So that's the only good thing I'm going to say about you tonight. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to give myself a round of applause for that.
Hey, sorry, Naught's on production. I will say one quick thing before we get into the meat and potatoes. Just to say, one of our patrons tonight, Angela, is away in Australia. She's actually found the time to dial in and watch tonight, all the way from the other side of the world. So that's a good effort.
Well, let's see her now then. Let's tell her, where are you, Angela? Can we see you?
Angela is currently on. I can see her, but she hasn't put her camera on. But if she does, I'll bring her on. There you go. I'll shut up.
Okay, cool. Let her get a camera on if yes. Okay, great. So, Dusty, tell us what I mean. You know, you were for the test selector for 14 years. Obviously, before that, had an illustrious career. What are you doing now?
Well, I'm recovering from a prostate operation. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm in rehab, but the operation went very well. The rehab's gone very well, or going very well, and I'm back in speaking at dinners and doing the odd dinner here and there and entertaining, you know, which is
your thing, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's been obviously pretty difficult for the last 18 months, 2 years.
You chose a good time to have a bloody prostate operation, really, didn't you?
I still had a lot of no shows for over a good year or so. So, and it's great to go back, because what I state regularly is, why people say, why do you keep doing this? Well, A, I enjoy it, and B, I like putting something back into the game and entertaining people about the game of cricket and promoting it.
How did you kind of first get, because really you've almost had 3 careers. You've had a playing career, and a selecting career, which was sort of a bit later, and an after dinner career as well. So how did you get into the after dinner part? And who's your sort of inspiration? Who kind of got you going, and who is the sort of person that you aspire to be like, if you like, a comedian wise?
Well, not a comedian. There were 3 the doyens at the time when I was first starting it. Bumble, David Lloyd, was starting it round about the same time, and he was I don't think he does so many now, but he was excellent. But the 3 doyens were Fred Truman. Obviously, Fred was very big on it. Peter Parfitt and Mike Cowan. They were the 3 that started to promote the world of cricket after dinner speaking. And I listened to them all, and I thought, that's very more than interesting. It's entertaining, and it makes people laugh, and it's putting something back into the game. And I had no intentions of doing it. I came back from Australia on one occasion, and I'm walking through the streets of Chesterfield, where I live, and a good friend of mine was walking the other way, and he said, "Oh, just the man." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, it's Rotary on Thursday night at the Terminus Hotel, and I want and come and speak at it." I said, "Well, I'm not a Rotarian." He said, "No, that doesn't matter. I just want you to speak at it." I said, "Well, I don't do after dinner speaking." He says, "No, you've got me wrong. I'm telling you, you're going to come and speak at it, because I've done enough." And he was an estate agent, good friend of mine, Ian Vardy, estate agent. And he said, "I've done enough for you over the years." He said, "It's time you to put something back towards me." So I said, "All right." So I went and did it. Very average to say the least. About a fortnight later, J.K. Lever asked me to go and speak for him in Southend. I went down there with, I think, Fred Truman, and Frank Boff was there as well. And I can't remember his name, which is very sad, but he was the reporter for the Southend Mercury or something like that, whatever the paper was. And he was hilarious. And I got to do this. I mean, it's my second ever speech, and it was shocking, dreadful. And he put me on a table with some farmer friends of his. I think they were called the Treese brothers, if I remember rightly. And one of them said in an Essex accent, which I'm not great at, he said, "Oh, you tell me you've come all the way down from Chesterfield to speak at John Lever's benefit function." I said, "Yeah, I have." And I thought, "Oh, that's very kind of you to say so." He just looked at me and said, "What a waste of time that was." So I thought, if people are going to keep asking me, I better start sorting out some stories and get a way of doing it. So I listened to a lot of comedians and talked to a lot of them, how they went about it. I talked to Fred and Peter Parfitt and Mike Cowan, and got into it, and found that, strangely enough, I got a talent to be able to do it. So
what would you say was the kind of the best advice they gave you?
That's a very good question. the best advice.
To be yourself. I mean, I guess maybe to have authentic stories.
Yeah,
So
I
you
think
can't
the
copy
best
them.
advice I was given, to be fair, was don't steal other people's material. You know, create your own material, get a lot of your own material, and then just keep shifting it. And what will happen over a period of time, you will have, which I have, you have 4 or 5 core stories. No, you've heard me speak, yours, you know. You have 4 or 5 core stories, which people constantly want to hear because they enjoy the run of it. And then you put different things in the middle of it, you see. And
it's interesting, actually, that, because I mean, I have probably heard you speak, I would say 20 times, at least. And I still can't remember some of it. And, you know, for instance, your old, I'll get you to tell it in a minute, but the whole business of, you know, being at school and A-level art and all that. I mean, I've forgotten
the true story, you know, I'm not making stories.
No, I know, I realise that.
Stories.
I mean, listen, I want you to tell that story in a bit, but I went to stay with Peter Parfitt. Those of you who don't know, Peter Parfitt was a Middlesex and England player in the 60s, very good character, very funny bloke. I went to stay with him in Norfolk, actually, because I went and did the West Norfolk Cricket Association. I get all the best gigs. And it was up near King's Lynn on a Thursday night. Literally.
I've done it.
Yeah. I mean, you done it in that room.
Yeah.
Sort of. It was about a month before COVID struck, actually.
Yeah.
So it was the last event of any description that anybody did, I think. And I stayed the night with him afterwards. You probably stayed with him, have you, as well? With
I have.
With all his flags put up everywhere outside. He's got a different flag for every day of the year. And he was just telling me about Fred and Fred Truman, and how it was Fred Truman's gopher in a way to start with, or his sort of warm-up act, and then he started to be an act of his own. And in a way, it's a sort of passing of the baton, isn't it? You know, Fred Truman to Parf, and Parf to you, and or Bumble, and then Bumble to you, whatever.
Bumble, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's, you know, it's really entertaining to see people enjoying, or hopefully enjoying, what you're trying to achieve either on the stage or at the top table, and see people laughing and enjoying them, and then certainly coming up at the end of it saying, thoroughly enjoyed that. That was really, really, really good. And that's like scoring, well, in my case, 50.
73.
Yeah, 73. Yeah,
and taking 2 for 41. You know, that's better than none. Better than naught and 0 for 100, anyway. We'll let you sort of tell your sort of your opening story in a minute. But what about? I mean, you always go down well, as far as I'm ever aware. But you would have had some stinkers. So what was the worst? I remember Parf telling me that he did some sort of Welsh insurance thing once, and people came in from a boxing night at 11 o'clock at night on a balcony and just went, "Get off, you wanker," or something, you know. So, I mean, I guess you've had the odd stinker, have you?
Well, the worst one was one in London. I did. I think it was near. What's the fish place down there? What's it?
Fish place? You mean Billingsgate?
Billingsgate, yeah. And they had a function there, and it wasn't a room as such. It was just under arches and things like that. Oh, it was weird. God. And what it was for the young estate agents, young
city boys.
Absolutely, all young ones. But they had before the function started, supposed function, they were having shots of this and shots of that and whatever. So as you say, it was about after 11 o'clock when I stood up to speak. They'd been there since 5. Cool. So it was pretty daunting. Anyway, I stood up and I did my Yorkshire story. I started with my own kind of thing, which was pretty level. And then I did the Yorkshire story, and they all started chanting Yorkshire, Yorkshire. So I stopped that. I thought, oh, come. So I moved on to my Lancashire story. Right. And then they all started chanting Lanky, 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 Lancashire. So I just stopped and I said, look, if you're not bothered about listening, and I can understand that because you're here to have a cracking night, and I'm probably not the best thing. I said, the best thing I can do is allow you to move on, get off the stage, and just allow you to to enjoy yourselves and get back onto your onto your liquid. And there was loads of people shouting, you know, loads of lads are going, correct, get off and whatever. So you learn them all. So
yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
So go on, tell us your sort of story about coming from school and, you know, getting taken on by Derbyshire for a game and all that.
Right.
Give us that little rendition.
Well, I was at Chesterfield. Do you want me to tell it as I tell it? I was at Chesterfield Grammar. Where did it start for Geoff Miller? The cricketing career started at Chesterfield Grammar School, 10 O levels, taken. Right, straight Fs. Right, headmaster wanted to throw me out of school. I said, sir, I want to play cricket as a career because I'd played for the England schools against the West Indies that summer at home. He said, those dreams don't come true, boy. Your academics are dreadful. Today's Tuesday, don't be here at the weekend. On the Friday after assembly, he called me into his office. Put a piece of paper down on the desk. I picked it up and read it. I've been selected for the England schools cricket tour of India that winter. Proviso was that I was still at school. And he said, when you get back from India, you'll leave school immediately. Right. So I thought, well, that'd be all right because Derbyshire should take me on the staff and my career will be off and running. So I got back from India 2 months later. Derbyshire had signed Venkat. There wasn't a place for me. I'm walking through the corridors at Chesterfield Grammar School. Headmaster's walking the other way. What are you doing here, boy? I've just go back, sir. We agreed you left school. You shouldn't be here. I said, well, can I say cheerio to my friends, sir? Yeah, today's Thursday. You've got today and tomorrow, and you're not here at the weekend. The following day, which was the Friday, he called me into his office, put a piece of paper down the desk. I've been selected as vice captain of the England schools cricket tour of the West Indies the following winter. Proviso was that I was still at school. He said, when you what we will do, Miller, we'll create a new form for you. So they created lower six extra. There was only me in it, right? I had 2 terms in lower six extra. And he said, what about an A level? I said, well, I like art, sir. We'll go and see Mr. Searcy in the art room and get him to teach you how to write properly so we can read it. So I went to see Searcy. I did my art A level, went to the West Indies, came back. Derbyshire took me on the staff. And 3 years later, I played for England. After the test match, I went back to 2 Enfield Road, semi-detached, Highbury Estate, Chesterfield, and there's a letter waiting for me from Geoffrey Price, the headmaster, saying I'd brought credit to the school. And I don't know to this day whether I've passed art A level or not. Never been back for the result. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, there's your first round of the second round of applause of the night. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's just, and I know you make that story last about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it's just a classic, isn't it?
Yeah, I've cut it down a bit. Cut it down.
Do you know? I actually forged my A level certificate because I actually got F for French. Like in those days, you had a certificate with the actual letters written on, not printed, or an online thing. You actually had a certificate, didn't you? And I had my certificate said French F. So, but I just added a little strand underneath the F and made it into an E. And so I got an extra A level for that. And that got me into Durham.
I got my results, and I don't know whether you got your you probably got about 25 O levels knowing you, but I got my results on a Monday. And what was Monday famous for in those days? What happened on a Monday?
Wages? No, that was Friday. But dustbin men?
In houses on a Monday, what happened? What did mothers do on a Monday?
The washing.
Correct. Wash day, Monday. I got back, went in the front door, and my mother was pulling a sheet through the mangle.
Oh, right? No.
She said, how have you done? I said, I failed them all, Mum. And she just kept on pulling. Said, well, we expected that. And just carried pulling the sheet through the mangle. Oh, looking forward to you telling your dad that.
I thought you meant she'd actually stuck the certificate accidentally in the mangle. That was good. Excellent. You didn't need to go to the gym if you're a woman then, or a man indeed, did you? You could just put your clothes in the mangle. It was quite a good bit of exercise.
Really? Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly.
So go on. Tell us also. I mean, you had an interesting life touring.
Yeah.
So just what was it like on tour? Let's say Ashes, that series 83, wasn't it? The 83 series was the one we just saw the catch. 82. Yeah. So what was life like?
We started the first one I did Well, the first time I went to Australia was for the centenary test.
Right, 77.
So I went to India. That was my first tour, India. And then we went to Sri Lanka in between and played an unofficial test match there. And then moved on to Australia for the centenary test. So that was 77. Then 79, we went over there. That was during the Packer series. And we won 5-1. We beat them 5-1 over there. Now, we'd lost some top players and they'd lost top players, but we performed pretty well. So, but touring at that time was different because I was the kind of, knowing the character that I am and was, I was classed as social secretary because we had to keep the spirit going. And that was a vital part of what touring was all about. We had to create that. So I became kind of social secretary and kept a spirit going when it was low and just kind of high it up. So that was part of my duty on tour. So the playing side was pretty good. You know, the social side was good. The playing side was good. And the spirit was good as well. So we kept the spirit going. So, but, you know, tour by tour, different people went on different tours.
I mean, was it, how disciplined were you as a group? You know, were there quite late nights and things, or before a test or during a test, or? No,
it was pretty good. You know, you were out there to enjoy yourself as much as you possibly could. But the prime objective of being out there was to win games of cricket. So you had to make sure that when that game of cricket came round, you were fully responsible to be able to perform at the highest level you possibly could, because that's why you were selected. So what you had to do was work out the difference or how you could enjoy the touring socially and make that work with playing to your maximum ability. Yeah. So that was the difficult part of it. So,
and how much mingling was there?
You actually worked each other. You know, you worked for each other and promoted each other.
How much mingling was there between the Aussies and the English, say, during those tours? Did you see each other at night much? Or
there was a respect for each other. There's a respect that players had been selected to represent the country. So that respect was there. All right, it was. The friendships built up, but the friendships kind of worked after tour, or after you finished it internationally, because you continue. Right. You know, two of my best friends, God bless them both. I played against one. I didn't play against the other, but for the world I've been in, were Rob Marsh and Shane Warne. You know, obviously we know the situation, which is very, very sad. But you build up this kind of rapport and friendship. At the time, you can't have that. You can have a respect, but you can't have a friendship because you're playing against them. You're trying to beat England, are trying to beat Australia.
But were there moments when after playing, I don't know, Sydney or somewhere, where both teams would go to a pub together or not?
Yeah.
Or the hotel bar maybe?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what used to happen actually after a day's play, okay, or a test match finished or a day's play, the batting side used to go in and have a drink into the bowling side's changing room. You know, I remember in that the pre-centenary test match was at Perth against Western Australia. And I was asked to be the night watchman. I played in the game, night watchman. They batted first, got a decentish score. Somebody got out. I'm not sure who got out, whether it was, I don't think it was Dennis. It might have been Bob Ulmer. I can't remember. Anyway, I've gone in as night watchman. And I could cut and I could pull. And that's about what I could do. You know that, Jos. And Dennis Lillee.
Front leg, did you?
Dennis Lillee was, bowling bounce. And I was, as a night watchman for 20 minutes, I was pulling and cutting him. And they couldn't believe it. Anyway, we then went in their changing room afterwards. The people have gone in and there's only one place left because I've got to take my pads off and everything. And I go in as a young lad. I go in, there's one place left. It's between Dennis Lillee and Rod Marsh. So I thought, this could be interesting.
Wow.
And Rod Marsh said, Well played, mate. He said, different to see an Englishman playing shots like that, mate, at this time of the day. And I said, well, how you play. Anyway, I was there for about an hour listening to, and it was fascinating. You were learning. I started learning. Dennis Lillee saying this about that and that. And I thought, oh, Christ, they did think I could play a bit. Anyway, obviously the following morning arrives and I've walked out to bat again. God, it was constant abuse. God, it was as you would expect it. Christ, mate, not this. And the language came out, which I don't use. Oh, Christ almighty, it was unreal. But you learnt by that. You learnt and you moved on from it. But there was always a respect. And that was stay. When your career finished, Dennis used to say that, Rod used to say it, Greg Chappell said it, Ian Chappell, they all said it. There's always a respect, unless you were selected and it was a complete nightmare selection, and very few of those are, then they respect the fact that you've been picked to represent your country. So
who's the best after dinner speaker in the Aussies camp of that sort of era? Is there anyone that you do a double act with, or have done a good one with?
I've worked with Warren.
Kerry O'Keefe, I suppose.
I've never worked with Kerry. They say that, and I've never worked. I'd love to work with Kerry at some stage.
Mad as a bag of spanners, isn't he? But
I don't know him well enough. I don't know him well enough, and I've never worked with him. But they've said that many times. Obviously.
Rodney Hogg. Have you ever done anything with him?
I've done a two with Hoggy. Yeah,
he's quite a funny bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Hoggy. Yeah. Yeah, obviously I played against Hoggy. That was the 79 series. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's very rare. It's very rare that you get 41 wickets in a series and lose the series 5-1, isn't it?
Oh, blimey. Yeah, it's true. And just one more question from me. So we talk about your obviously your interesting career. I know there's lots more to talk about in your career.
Yeah.
Talk about your speaking.
Yeah.
Firstly, how did you get into selection? How did you end up as chief selector?
National selector.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one. I was asked. They changed it from in around about 2000. They're going to have a big change on the selection process. And Dave Graveney asked me if I'd be interested in being a selector because I'd put my name forward before that. And I said it'd be an honour, it'd be a privilege. Anyway, Brian Bolus was in charge at that stage, and we met, and he said, there's a position as selector for you. So I did the selecting for the seven years or so. And then when we had a bad tour of Australia, the gentleman's name, the golfer, who came to oversee it all.
Simon Drake, Simon Duke.
No, it'll come. Anyway.
Peter Packford.
No. Anyway, it was looked at, and we had to reapply for our positions. So I reapplied to be a selector, and Dave reapplied to be chairman, which was changing from chairman to be national. So it's the same position, same thing. Anyway, they told David that they were having changes, and they asked me to be national selector. And I said, well, I haven't applied for it. He said, well, yeah, I know you haven't applied for it. Would you be interested if you approached you? I said, it'd be an honor, it'd be a privilege, but I need to have a couple of conversations. One with David, because he asked me to be involved in the first place, and it looks like I'm taking his position, which I find hard.
Yeah. And
secondly, with my wife, because it's going to be really, really time consuming. It's not just like being an ordinary selector. The national selector is you're on it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I said that is going to be, to do it properly, is going to be a necessity for me. And Carol just backed me. So that was absolutely wonderful.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Well, I that's it from me for the moment. I've got one more question. I'll ask you that at the end.
Okay.
So great effort. I mean, fascinating career. Nearly 2 decades, 17 years or something, 17, 18 years. then 14 years as a national selector, and God knows how long as an after-dinner speaker.
I'll tell you what is interesting, yours, if you don't mind me just interrupting quickly. The position that what I find myself having the ability to change heads. Do you see what I mean? To put the serious head on and then to put the humour head on, you know,
Yeah.
because when you're dealing, because I was still speaking when I was a selector, and
Basically, you're two-faced. That's what you are.
well, I don't think so. Hopefully not. But what I had to do was to, you know, you're dealing with players' professional, international careers. So that could not be done flippantly. You couldn't be done with humour all the time. So there had to be a serious side where I have serious, very difficult, serious conversations, some pleasant conversations as well, obviously. But then go and stand behind a table or on a theatre show and make people laugh. So
it's an alter ego almost, isn't it? And
yes, it is. It is.
And actually, I think what I learned, funnily enough, I mean, that a lot of Hard Yakka, there is a relevance here slightly because it's quite a brutal book, really. I mean, it's quite rude at times, and you are fairly rude, or not rude, but you take the piss a bit, right? Yeah. When you do your speaking. Yeah. But I found, and I'm sure you find as well, if you take the piss out of yourself, sort of even more, then it's fair game in a way.
Absolutely. The art of after dinner, as I found out and listening to a lot of people saying, especially in the world of the sport after dinner, is self-deprecation. If you have self-deprecation, then people are very interested. But if you start taking the mickey out of other people, then that's too much like an easy option. And I don't agree with that. So I'll have a bit of fun with certain players that I've played with and against, but it won't be complete deprecation. It would just be slightly mickey, and then
it's funny actually because I don't like, or I love comedy, but I don't like Have I Got News for You shows like that that just totally rip apart politicians, and I know, or celebrities, and I know that it's an incredibly popular show, and I'm being kind of a bit sort of pathetic to not like it, but I find unless people are sort of being funny about themselves and self-deprecating, as you say, then they're sort of taking the piss out of other people. Just seems mean actually, and kind of a bit sort of insensitive. Anyway, that's another subject. That's another story.
Okay.
Let's go to the floor, to the audience.
I'm bringing myself on first, actually.
Yeah, good.
We got a bunch of people with questions, but I'll bring them on and say, well, I got a question.
Yeah.
I was doing my research on Geoff, and I just thought I'd ask, right? So when I was a little kid, one of the biggest treats as a small boy was when my dad took me to the sports shop of Don Rogers, Swindon legend, and to my surprise, Don Rogers was there serving in the store. Right, Don Rogers, the greatest footballer Swindon ever produced. Now I'm aware, Geoff Miller, that you had a shop with another Chesterfield football legend, Ernie Moss, of course, right, which was called Moss and Miller. I think it would be better called Miller Moss. Did you get people visiting the shop purely to come sort of like encounter two Chesterfield legends?
Absolutely. Well, God bless him. Ernie's no longer with us. He had this brain situation, which it's being fought at the moment. In fact, funnily enough, I did a dinner last week with John Stiles, and we were discussing this very thing. So Ernie's no longer with us. Yes, Ernie played on Saturdays, obviously, so we weren't open on a Sunday, and the shop was absolutely inundated on a Monday, and hardly anybody bought anything on a Monday. All they did was want to rip into Ernie and say how he played on the Saturday. And so also in the summer, similar situation, they used to come in the shop and say, we watched, because there was the odd county match at Chesterfield, mainly Derby, obviously, but the odd one at Chesterfield. And the spectators and members used to go and watch that as well. So we'd get ripped at, definitely. But it was part of the selling process.
Exactly. Right. Thanks for it. I'm off, and I'm going to bring some other people into the room. I'm going to bring somebody actually who's not been on screen before asking a question. Actually, it's Mr. Nick Baggett. So I'm going to ask you to unmute, Nick, if you'd be so kind. And you're on screen.
Hi, Nick.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, good to meet you, and many happy years watching you play before. My question's actually about selection, actually.
Yeah.
I'll give you a bit of context. I actually work part-time as a football selector or football scout for Reading, responsible for 16 to 21-year-olds.
Right.
When we scout a player, there's very rigorous criteria. So there's 15 criteria for every position. It's technical things, physical things, mental things. And, there's a report, a dossier is 6 or 7 pages long before you recommend someone. So I'm interested if the same rigor goes into talent identification of players for the England squad and kind of what criteria you would have chosen to find a new batter or bowler, for example.
Very good. Excellent. Not sure what the process at the moment is. I'm not involved in the process, but my process was, I felt that, well, first of all, to get the position, you needed to have time to do it. You had to have the communication skills to do it. And you had to have the knowledge of what was required to be an international cricketer. Okay? So you take those 3 things into consideration. Then when you see something, you watch somebody play, you find out through the captain and the coach what they're looking at, how they're wanting to play the game, how they're wanting to develop the side as such. So the kind of players or the kind of people that they're wanting in that squad. Not team, squad. Okay. Yeah. So then it was our job, as you've just said there, to go and find those people that they require. So consequently, you had the knowledge, you watched somebody play and you thought, this fella has got international quality. Maybe not at that moment in time, but he's got international quality. So then you watch it for a period of time to see the development. You watch him play in all kinds of situations. That's in easy situations, in difficult situations, against easier opposition, against difficult opposition, against easier surfaces to play on or difficult surfaces. So you're watching them play and developing how they play in all kinds of situations. Once they've passed that test, you then, as you've just stated there, see whether they've got the passion and determination to want to do it. And that can be different from the actual technical ability to do it, the passion of wanting to do it. Okay?
Yeah.
And if they pass that test, so they've passed 2 there, then you come to the big one. The big one, which is bigger than either of those 2. And it sounds strange to say that there's a bigger one than technical ability, and that's mental ability, because they have got to work out in their own mind whether they can compete with international players. Okay? And we can actually go through that process and talk to them and find out about them. The problem is that you can only have, and I used to say 85 to 90% certain, because when they walk through that gate with the pads on or the ball in the hand, you're never 100% sure how they're going to react to that. Okay, so that is the same in a football situation as well. When they get on the big stage, they've passed all the other criteria. The big stage is have they got the mental toughness? So they might have the technical ability, they might have the passion. Have they got the mental toughness to do it? So there are strong similarities in team games. I suppose there are in individual games, but in team games, because that's one individual amongst 10 others. You can work round in a changing room to actually make him into an international person, but he's got to pass all those 3. And I used to watch, I'd see somebody and think this fella has got international potential. And I'd watch him for year and a half before he got selected. I wanted to make sure, I wanted to be 100%, because I did make a couple of errors on that. And I put my hands up and say I made a couple of errors. But when you make errors, you learn by those mistakes. So I'd watch players play for a long period of time and say, I'm 100% sure on that, or I'm 90% sure on that. Okay. How he handles the big international arena is yet to be seen. So there, Nick, that's the similarity. Does that
absolutely.
Right?
No, that's absolutely perfect. I mean, the biggest thing we find is when the player gets into the first team, will they take a risk? So a lot of players just want to do the easy things. They don't want to upset the crowd. They don't want to, don't want to make a mistake in front of people. So they'll just freeze, and every time they get the ball, they just give it to the nearest player and won't try things on.
Yeah.
Lads like, if you're a football fan, Michael Elise, who's currently tearing up the Premier League with Crystal Palace, from the first moment he got onto the pitch as a 17-year-old, he'll take people on, he'll try risks, he'll try anything to make himself stand out. And that's that kind of star quality that you can't really see until they're playing in the first team.
I don't know how good a player this fella is as a youngster, but there sounds to me like a very strong simulation with Ian Botham there. Ian Botham was exactly the same as that. He'd take risks. He wanted his main aim, Nick, was to entertain. He was being paid as an entertainer. He wanted to entertain, and he entertained to all. But luckily for him, I'm saying luckily, which is the wrong word, he had got the ability to do that. And there is a similarity there. You can take risks if you've got the ability to be able to take risks. You can't take risks if you haven't got that ability to do it, because you fall flat.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Right, next up, I'm bringing in all the way from Portishead. I'm bringing in Martin.
Hi, Martin.
Hi there. Thanks very much, Norts.
Pleasure.
Hello, Geoff. Great evening. I love your humour, so enjoying that. My question is around selection as well. As you know, everybody's an expert and can pick the best team.
Yeah.
So what, if any, influence do sort of the media or the public have on selectors' thoughts and final selections? Does it play a part at all, or do you just deliberately block that out?
You're talking about my era?
Yes, I suppose.
When I did it.
Yeah, or if you know of any era when it wasn't.
I had conversations with team managers, with umpires, and some of the best advice I was given about certain players were team managers telling me what they saw in opposition players, not about their own players, about opposition players, and then to go and watch that. So public have always got their own opinions, but the public can't have the strong opinion, because they, as a selector, I am watching players play every day of the week, constantly. So I see them in all, as I just said to Nick, in all kinds of situations, difficult situations, easy situations, hard week. People don't see this. People can make decisions or assumptions on figures that appear on statistics in a book. Can't do it like that. That's impossible. But I would communicate with all kinds of people, senior players who know what they're talking about, know what international cricketers are.
So how about pressure from the media, who have always got a favourite player that should be in or shouldn't be in? No.
What I would do with the media, I would explain the decisions we've made and why we've made them. I would listen to what they thought, but our job, it wasn't to be driven by media, make a decision on what media gave me. Our decision was to be made by what we decided as selectors. I'd got Jimmy Whittaker and Ashley Giles was a selector then, and we had a really, really good working environment. Really good. Watched a lot of cricket, a lot of players constantly. I was driving 75,000 miles a year to watch cricket all over the country. I'd drive from Chesterfield to go and watch somebody in Canterbury, or I needed to talk to a player in Canterbury or watch him play, and then see how the results had gone on the end of the first day. And maybe where I had to go for the second day was Manchester. So I drive up to Manchester to watch the second day. And then on the third day, I needed to go and watch maybe Marcus Trescothick in Taunton. So I drive down to Taunton. And then the next one, because there's only one day left, because there's only one match left, and it'd be in Chesterley Street. So you drive, so you do the job properly. But that's what it was all about, to make sure you did it properly. So you'd talk to people and they'd be prepared to put their vision and decision or thoughts to you, but you had to make the decision within your kind of unit. So no, they didn't drive any selection. The media didn't drive selection, and the public didn't drive selection. It was driven by the people who had to make the decision and stand by the decision.
Okay, thanks very much. Great.
Okay, pleasure.
Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Morley is.
What about stand by, Paul? What about Angela? Is Angela in Australia? So is she...
Angela said she's not prepared to put a camera on because she's in bed. Or that'd be early. It'd be sort of morning time, wouldn't it? The sun will be rising somewhere in Australia. Somebody did. Malcolm Lowry did ask Geoff of an opinion of course, the greatest player never played for England, of course, James Hildreth. How close did he come to being selected?
Yeah, we talked about James many times. Yeah, but the problem was at the time we had got a really, really secure unit, a secure team, a good batting side. What we'd also got at the time, we got Graham Swann. Now, Graham Swann was a vital cog in that side because not only could he bowl opposition out on conducive turning wickets, he could bowl overs, flat overs, to keep opposition quiet. So consequently, we only had then to play 3 seamers. You didn't have to play a 4th seamer because a 4th seamer would probably not have bowled very much. So we played 3 seamers and Swanee. So you there got your 4 bowlers. We'd got another couple who bowled a few little overs from the batter's point of view. So we could play an extra batter at 6. And Matty Pryor was at 7, who developed into a very, very good batting wicket keeper. So we got a strength in depth inside. We've got depth in batting, we've got depth in bowling, and we'd also got a very, very good fielding side as well. So it was a unit in itself. So it was very difficult to find somebody to come into the side. We didn't just pick a side. We had a squad. So if there was an injury or a loss of form or whatever, the next person came in as such. So he was talked about on many occasions, but sadly never got the opportunity to move in.
Oh, anyway, the floor is yours, Paul.
But just before Paul, I'm just gonna mention Pushkar here. Pushkar Dusty is one of our fully paid up members living in India, who's an absolute statistics master. He knocks any of the stats boys on Sky or BT or anyone into a cocked hat. And he's got a classic here that you are the 2nd highest multiple of Nelson FC career wickets. And by Nelson FC, he means anyone who is a multiple of Nelson, 111. So you have 888 first-class wickets, of course, and the only one higher than that in the Nelson sort of category is Iqbal Kazim, 999. So you're 2nd in the Nelson FC club for career wickets.
Where is this sad man? Where is he?
He's in. Don't say sad. He's an absolute master. He's in Ranchi in India.
He's our clubman of the year. He's our clubman of the year as well.
He's our clubman of the year. I mean, he might be in bed because it's about 1 o'clock in the morning in India, but he might pop up. You never know.
So what? Nelson for what? For 100? What's that?
Oh, it's a multi. Come on.
I know what
you
Nelson
must have done
is.
maths O level at least. Oh no, you've got an F. Sorry,
I took it. I didn't take it yet.
What's that?
I've no idea where that's coming from.
Anyway, so Nelson would be 111. So he's talking about Nelson FC is any multiple of 111 career wickets. And you got 888, which is a multiple of 111.
Oh, I see what. Oh, right, okay.
And Iqbal Kazim's got 999.
Right.
So he wins by a short head over you. Used to come in 2nd, aren't you, Dust? And by the way, so before I will actually just interrupt Paul as well, because I've done my analyst diving into the archives.
Yeah.
Here it is. You want to see it?
Well, if it is, just look Just look where I am when he delivers the ball.
Okay, well, we'll stop it. Okay, so here it is. Final ball, 1981 Natwest Final. So you're being very obedient there, aren't you?
Go on.
Ooh.
Right, see where the bat is?
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
You're doing well there. It's absolutely.
Hey, just a minute. Rosa,
Yeah.
is that me or was it Piers Brosnan?
Was it? It certainly wasn't Usain Bolt. Anyway, let's watch it again in full speed. Here we go.
Now, what I want you to say, show it again, Yoz. Right? Look at how far I've got to run. Right? Wait a minute. And just look where Geoff Cook is fielding.
I know, yeah. Well, actually,
just
that's
watch
true.
this.
Yeah, okay, I'll stop it as you beat him, didn't you? There.
Yeah.
I love the celebration. I mean, I've got to make a little GIF out of that. North, I've got to make a GIF out of this celebration.
I'd make a GIF out of that. Make a GIF out of that.
We hadn't won any. Derbyshire had not won anything since 1930 odd, so that's why it was. Plus, we were both Derbyshire lads at the crease.
Brilliant! It's absolutely awesome, isn't it? I mean, you took bloody Cookie out there, didn't you?
Did I?
Well, you did. You cleaned him up completely. I love it.
Wait a minute. Let's see. Did I? No, just got my back between his legs.
Look at that. Brilliant. Sorry, right. There we are, Paul. The stage is yours. Sorry.
No worries. I enjoyed watching that. No, watch that over and over again. Thank you. Thanks, Geoff, for joining us. Great to have you with us. Surprisingly, my question's about selection as well, as everybody else's has been. So I guess the question I have is whether or not in your time as selector, there's one player that you had to really fight for and convince others to get on board with that you're most proud of, that actually you championed, that really went on and became a star, or whether indeed there was anybody that you've conversed. I mean, you mentioned a couple of errors, but I think if you focus on anybody that you might have championed that really went on to make it.
Right. Well, I was. I remember. I'll come back to the main one in a minute or so, because the main one is something that people never ever guess. But I remember going up to Old Trafford to watch, and I was with Mike Watkinson, and he showed me a screen like I'm looking at now. And he said, I said, what have you got to show me there? He said, just have a look at this lad here. And he showed me this lad bowling on the screen. He said, he's just about to come on the staff at Lancashire. I said, I'm going to keep an eye on him because I think this bloke's got some potential, more than potential. Why have you taken so long to get him on? Well, man, I said, I'm going to watch him with interest. I said, because I think very quickly he's going to get into the Lions team, which was the team that was, the build up to the test, and promote him, and which we did. And he's not been a bad bowler over the years.
Young Jimmy, I'm guessing you're talking about.
Mr. Burnley, yeah. So that was one. Alistair was another one. Alistair Cook, saw Alistair play and you see something, and it just wasn't a natural batsman as such, but he just got so much there. He got so much time. He got so much that you thought he can develop, and as a character as well, he can develop this into a test cricketer. And obviously he did. And there've been one or two others, but people say to me, what was the best selection you made? Well, there were two of the main selections. One was, obviously we had some terrific players, and I can go through the side, fire the side out now. You Cook, your Strausses, right, and just go through. I've mentioned one, if you were listening, when I said about Swanee, what Swanee allowed us to do bowling wise, but batting wise, let me ask you, who do you think it would be? Who?
From your era?
I'm going to give you 2 guesses, no more than 2 guesses.
You mentioned going down to Taunton to watch Marcus.
Yeah.
That'd be one guess.
Well, that's wrong. Marcus was great players. But this fella allowed us freedom to play.
Trotty?
Who?
Jonathan Trott.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah.
So what Trotty did, we needed that security at 3. Security, a bloke who could play whether it was 0 for 1 or whether it was 101 for 1.
Yeah.
And he could play accordingly. And it allowed us, we'd got the 2 terrific opening batters. And then we'd got KP, you'd got Belly, whoever the 6 was. So we'd got players of all kinds of stature who could bat for time, who could actually take opposition on, take the game away from opposition. And Trotty allowed us that kind of freedom to play. So he was. And
he was the cement in the middle. Yeah.
He was, yeah. But if you remember, he did it right from the word go.
Yeah, I went to his first test match. I was there when he got 100 in the second innings at Oval. Yeah,
and he get in the first innings.
44, he got run out, didn't he? Short leg.
Correct. Yeah. Spot on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And from then on, we'd got, so that helped us to actually build a side, build a unit.
Yeah. So
it was then difficult to actually bring somebody else in, because I wanted at the most possible, if our aim was to get to number 1 in the world in Test cricket, to be the best one-day side possible, and we ended up being T20 world champions as well. But what I wanted to do was to get number 1 in the world, and to get to number 1 in the world, what we had to do was to play our best side as much as we possibly could, right? And if there was an injury or a lack of form or something, the person that came in didn't make it detrimental to the side. So that's why we built up what we used to call make sure the conveyor belt was working.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Was it? Do you think it was presence with Cook? It was sort of, presence at the crease, unflappability. Was that what stood him out as a young player?
Yeah. It got 2/3 solid shots, right? And the 4th solid shot was defensive. So he could bat defensively, and if people bowled it in the wrong place, he'd got certain shots that actually could accumulate big scores. But he could bat for a long time. I was, I played with 1 or 2 players who were in the same kind of boat as that. There was a fellow who played for Yorkshire. He used to be able to bat for quite a long time,
It's about sort of shutting out the world, isn't it? Almost an ability to not be distracted by your mission, and those 2 had it in spades.
That's the word, Yoz. You're right. With this distraction was statements or viewpoints or whatever said to you out on the field that's trying to take your concentration away. And if you've got the ability to be able to withstand those kind of comments, then you can just move on. And we had a lot of players who could do that. 2 of which opened the batting, and the 3rd one did it as well.
Right, Will's in the house with a question.
Evening, Simon. How are you? You all right?
Good.
Geoff, how are you?
Good, thank you. And yourself?
Yes, I'm all good, thank you.
What are those pictures in the background? What's all that?
So one is, you probably can't see that, but I've got one of Beefy behind me, and I've also got one of the Cricket World Cup in 2019 of Ben Stokes and Josh Buttler whipping the bails off. And there's one in the far end there of Andrew Flintoff in 2005 with Freddie. Ed Preston in 2005.
In that case, Will, you've got the 2nd best and the 3rd best and the 4th best all-rounder ever to play for England. Why don't you get the best one on your wall?
He will after this.
Yeah.
Question, Will.
Anyway, question. So my question to you is, because you were selector for quite a long time. What is the process that you went through when you were a selector, and how is that different from when it was today? And what role do you think technology has played a part in that? Because obviously now, with obviously the England scouts, obviously, for example, what they do is they just ring up, James Taylor will ring up, whoever it is and say, I like this player, get him in there.
We had a unit. What we used to do, the captain and the coach, which was Andy Flower and Straussy or Nasser or Duncan Fletcher, what we used to do was listen to what they were requiring. I've mentioned this earlier on, Will. Mention what they were requiring, how they're trying to actually formulate a unit in that changing room and how the unit wanted to play. So our job then was to go and find those kind of players that moved the team on if they lost form or they reached an age where it was retirement age, and you had to make sure.
Was there like a set of criteria that you had to have in order to? No,
you were given freedom. They felt that we had the knowledge and the nous to know what was required. So we weren't given any, it was freedom to roam. What I stated when I took over the job, I said, I don't want this to be zoned, this selection. I don't want you to tell me I can only watch Northern players or North Midlands players. I want to be able to travel all over the country and watch all kinds of players in all kinds of situations. And they said, leave it with you. You go and do what you've got. So I was then given freedom of movement. There was given no criteria, but I knew what my job was, and B, what they were wanting in that changing room. And we'd have a selection meeting, and the before selectors, and the captain came in. I allowed the captain to come in and have a chat. He didn't get a vote, but then if there were, for argument's sake, it was a 3-1. I would then say to that one, whoever it was, it might have been me, the one, to the one, why are you one as opposed to being the three where we're going in this direction? And give him the opportunity to actually, whoa.
I'm sorry.
Give him the opportunity to state why he feels that one is worthy. And if it has got relevance, if that one had got relevance, then we'd revisit it all. Right. So it wasn't just a matter of, well, you're outvoted. There was more to it than that. And sometimes on the odd occasion, you've got a point here. Good point. Well, let's go with the, we'll go back to a discussion again. So no, there was no criteria. It was just level-headed work. Now, what they're doing at the moment, I can't answer that. I have no idea. I don't know. Obviously, I've not been involved for quite a long time now. So it just seems to me there's no selection process, which I would have thought makes it pretty difficult, to be honest.
No. Would you just going back to your one, just about the whole kind of selection process, if that one person had said no, did you have like a tape of that player and go, right, this is why you, and I know you said no to this person, but this is why I think you should be picking him because of X, Y, Z. Look at his technique.
He was given freedom to state his case, and if he look, I watched him play on such and such. As I've said to him earlier, on bad wickets, I've seen him on good wickets. I've seen him bat time. I've seen him play against good opposition, and I think we've got something here more than what you've been discussing there. So we'd give him the complete freedom to have his opinion and revisit it if it's got strong relevance, as I said.
Great.
Pleasure, Will. Pleasure.
Right, last hand up I can see, which is Andy. I'm bringing him in now. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Geoff.
Hi, Andy.
You kind of touched on the question I was going to ask, actually, which was, given your previous role, what are your thoughts on the fact that we don't have a national selector at the moment, and how that can possibly work, and whether you think that might change in this review? And another slightly tongue-in-cheek question. Was it your role to phone players who were no longer selected in the squad? And if so, how difficult was that?
Right. First part of the question, I really don't see how this can work. I think you need to be watching players constantly. Lots of people watching lots of players, watching county cricket everywhere, to get an estimation of who and what is the best decision made. I don't see how one person can actually do that. It's important because that one person, as it stood at the time, was involved with the England team. It would have been impossible for someone like Andy Flower just to actually pick the side on his own. You know, he's got the England side to actually make sure is right, not the peripheral players as such. You know, that has got to be left to somebody else. And I don't know how they're doing that at the moment. I really have no idea, but I don't see how that can work and how you can get consistency in the selection. I just don't see that.
I mean, there's a lot of use now of streaming on YouTube. From what you've said about the mental side and the importance of that, you'd be a bit worried if they're relying
I agree with that.
Too much on that.
I agree with that. But you don't actually feel the atmosphere, understand what this player is going through at that moment in time. Yeah, you can see how he's performing bat and ball, but there's more to it than that. It's, you know, you go to a pitch and you see fielders in certain positions. Well, why are they in that position? What have they got? Have they got some idea that this bloke can get out in such a way? So you see the wider aspect of it.
Also, you talked to coaches as well, didn't you? You talked to coaches, you talked to opponents. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, as I said earlier on, yours, one of the best kind of reasons you got, or best conversations you had, was a manager or a coach of a side. For argument's sake, it could be Yorkshire, a coach of Yorkshire or coach of Lancashire. It doesn't matter who it was. And I would then say that we'd talk about their players, and then I'd follow that up by saying, right, who have you seen? The teams that you've played against, have you seen anybody who just wet your whistle a bit? And that was a really, really good conversation. Good, because you learned an awful lot from that. And then you could follow that up by going to an umpire and say, I've had an idea. I've been told that there's a possibility that this kid could be. Have you seen him play? What do you think? And then all of a sudden, if you got people, more than one person just backing it, then especially with people who know what they're talking about, you'd follow that direction. All right, you've got to make the decision yourself eventually, but you could follow that direction. And the second part of Andy's question. Whenever possible, Andy, can I have Andy back? I've had enough of you, Yoss.
He's there.
He's definitely there.
Still
He's
here.
not on the full screen. I've got this fellow with half a beard and his head's upside down. Right,
Still
Andy.
here.
Yes. To answer the second part of your question, whenever possible, and that was like a lot of the time, I would have that conversation face to face. I wouldn't do it over the phone. I had some difficult conversations, some really hard conversations, because the reason they're not being selected in the England team, either not being selected or being left out or whatever it was. But what I always used to do was give them the reason why we'd made the decision. And you can give that reason and they can see it's coming from the heart and genuine if you're doing it face to face, eye to eye.
Yeah.
So whenever I did that way, I did, he knows I've had this conversation before. I did phone somebody up because we had an injury problem. So instead of doing the selection on the Thursday, we had to do it on a Saturday, and it was going to be announced on the Sunday, the squad announced at 8 o'clock on the Sunday morning. So we actually selected the side on the Saturday night. So I phoned up a lad at 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And I'll not say who it was, but he knows who it was, because I've had this conversation before. And I said, hey, it's Geoff Miller. Who is it? I said, Geoff Miller. Phone went down. Bang. So I phoned it again. I said, it's Geoff Miller. Who is it? It's 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Who is it? I said, it's Geoff Miller. Phone went down again. I phoned again. This is true, so I phoned again. I said, right, this is the third time. I'm not phoning again. All I will say to you is that if you don't talk to me on this and accept what I'm about to say to you, then I will select somebody else for the squad in the next test match on Thursday, of which you're in the squad. It is Geoff Miller. I said, yes, it is Geoff Miller. So that was a pleasant conversation, although it could have ended up being a disastrous one. But to answer your question, Andy, any kind of difficult conversation and pleasant conversation sometimes, I would do face to. I'd drive to wherever I got to go and do it face to face.
Yeah. There's probably people doing hoax phone calls pretending to be you regularly.
May well be, yeah.
There's only one Geoff Miller. Great.
No, there's more.
Anyway.
There's more than one. There's more than one.
Right. Anyway, great question, Andy. Thanks. Is that it? North?
Yeah, we're all done. We're all done.
Robin, have we?
Oh, Robin's coming very, very late.
Late on the game. Robin.
Very late.
Where are we? Robin, fire away.
Hang on, I'll just bring him on. He's got to unmute.
I tried to unmute.
You're on.
Hello, Geoff.
Hi, Robin.
Yeah, start my video.
Got you. Nearly there.
Yeah.
Got you.
First of all, give us or sell me, first of all, Queen's Park Oval in Chesterfield, because I've been looking at a few. I've got a book from years ago that described lots of county grounds, and like one or two of us in our group, I'm absolutely dedicated to county cricket. And in my particular case, for my own stupid reasons, I've supported Hampshire all my life. But I've just seen, for some obscure reason, lots of photographs of Queen's Park Oval.
Beautiful ground. Absolutely. That's what I was looking. That's where I started my career. It's just Queen's Park, by the way. It's not Queen's Park Oval. It's not got that kind of notoriety, sadly. It's a beautiful ground. It's tree lined. It used to be years ago, because round where the pitch is, it used to be a cycle track, an old cycle track. But now it's just, they took cricket away from Chesterfield for a while, but it's gone back again now.
Yeah, I thought
so. So if you ever get the chance, if Hampshire ever get to play at Chesterfield, I have played there a couple of times against Hampshire, then I suggest you give it a visit, and I'll find you a nice hotel. I'll find you a nice hotel in the proximity. How's that?
Oh,
Does that mean your spare room?
My
spare room. We haven't got a spare. We only got a 2 up, 2 down. You know that, yes.
You need to sell a few of those books then, and then you can make a bit of space.
I would have hoped that one or two that my night could have been spent in a hedge or somewhere around there, because the scenery I've seen there is absolutely magnificent.
It's stunning.
And I just want to almost go there before the Aegeus this summer. I just would love to visit it.
Go up to the Peak District and slip yourself around Chatsworth, and then I think you'll quite enjoy that. It's very pleasant.
Well, I think if I included Chatsworth, I'd be completely over the top. I would just love to visit Chatsworth.
I have got a problem, because, listen, for me to go to Chatsworth, I have to get in the car and drive for just over 5 minutes. So
problem, Geoff.
It's hard work. It's hard work, honestly. Yeah. Hard work.
Finally, can you sell me who your up and coming favourite player at Derbyshire is at the moment? Because you've been leaking a few of late. I think one of your better batsmen has gone to Essex.
Yeah, Critch's gone to Essex. There's one or two young lads coming through. I'm not going to start naming names in the Derbyshire. There's one or two young lads coming through the youth policy. What they needed to do was for these youth, this youth policy, they needed to have senior players who could take the pressure off these young players, so you could still keep getting results, but the youth policy, the youngsters learned how to actually perform on the big stage. That's what was necessary, and you did that by senior players taking responsibility and scoring runs and taking wickets, so these lads could actually start with extra responsibility, batting higher up the order and bowling more overs.
Yeah,
that's what you need. And there's one or two coming through.
Congratulations to your wife in allowing you to go away as much as you obviously did in your job.
Wonderful. She's been wonderful.
She didn't like him. That's why she loved it. Listen, we've got to move on. Robin, thank you anyway. And I hope you make it to Chesterfield and take some pictures, won't you? Don't forget to take your iPad along. Listen, great fun. Do you remember, actually, I described Derbyshire in a lot of Hardiaka as the United Nations, I think. You wouldn't be able to do that anymore. Right. I'll tell you what, I've just got one little scorecard to show you.
Oh, this is the big one that you're waiting for the end, is it?
No, it's not actually. Oh. I just found it. So just study that if you like. Shreps County Championship 1983, Middlesex, Derbyshire, Uxbridge, 8th, 9th, 10th of June 1983. G. Miller, number 6. Fort Downton Bowl Hughes Naught. Oh well.
Am I supposed to be looking at the screen here, or what? What am I doing here now?
Well, you're supposed to be looking at the screen.
Why? What's on it?
Well,
you can have this.
Is there anything of relevance on there that I should be looking at, or what?
Just I don't about where my mouse is.
I don't remember facing Merviews. I don't remember.
Ha ha. Right. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. There's a little bit of a good game. Right. And the final thing you have to do tonight, if your wife, your good lady wife, wouldn't mind just waiting another 5 minutes, is we've got a quiz for you, right? And this is a quiz which is called "How Well Do You Know Yourself?" And every member or guest on this show has been on it and had a go. It's 10 questions about you.
Right.
The best score we've had over the year and a half is 10 out of 10 Paul Collingwood, who was very good. He managed to actually, one answer, he managed to go upstairs to his bedroom and find a scorecard with the answer on it. And the worst was Alistair Cook, actually, who only got 4 out of 10.
Oh, so that sounds like... I've got a quiz question for you. You know I like my quizzes, so I've got... Have you started working on that one I gave you the other night yet?
What about how many players have...
30 players. 30 players.
Vowels, starting with vowels or something.
30 players since 1970 have represented England in Test cricket whose surname begins with a vowel.
Start with a vowel, right. Well, everybody else can work on that while we're doing this, okay?
Now, and then the other one, just a minute before you give me mine. And then the other one is, since the war, there have been 16 players played Test cricket for England whose surname starts and finishes with the same letter. Right, there you are. So all your buffins can actually...
okay, fine. Okay, right, good. They can do that while we're doing this, right? So
go on, then.
This starts with some music. Just to get you in the mood for it, right? Then you've got 10 questions. If you get the answer right, you get this.
He's got it!
And if you get it wrong, you get this. Right?
There might be a few of those. Go on.
Right. Okay. 10 questions. Question 1. Against which team did you score your first class runs?
I'll go with Surrey.
He's got it!
Very good. As your second game, because of course your first game, you made a
No,
a dart.
Lancashire, Buxton, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right, good. 1 out of 1. Well done.
Oh, good.
Who was your question 2? Who was your first class victim?
Christ. Right, well, let's go with Mike Edwards.
He's got it!
Don't worry, they're getting harder. Those are a couple of half volleys.
Harder?
Those are a couple of half volleys. You know, you've done it
Who was
before.
my second? Who was my second? 2 balls later.
Intercarbal arm.
Correct. Court and bowl. Yeah.
Question 3.
Yeah.
2 out of 2. Who was your last first class wicket?
Oh, Christ almighty.
You know that as well, don't you?
No. I'll have a guess at Phil Tufnell.
Martin Moxon.
I thought he was up at Scarborough. I wouldn't have said Moxon though. I wouldn't.
Why did you say Phil Tufnell then? If you thought it was
well,
at
I
Scarborough?
wasn't sure. I wasn't sure whether I got no wickets up at Scarborough. I played you lot the game before and got Toughers out at the end, who tried to reverse lap me and got bowled.
Okay. Well, anyway, it was Moxon. Right. So
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
It's my
Right,
last
question-
wicket Moxon, was it? No.
Yeah. Question 4. Who has the best one-day international batting strike rate? You or Jeffrey Boycott? Who has the best batting strike rate in ODIs? You or Boyks?
And ODIs?
Yeah. ODI strike
Boycott.
rate.
Boycott.
He's got it!
Do you know what my batting average is in one day?
Yeah, I do. 8. But you did score at quite a good rate. 51.
8.4. 8.4.
8.4. But you did have a decent strike rate of 51. Boyks is 53.
All right.
So you got that correct. It was close, but you got that correct,
Yeah.
actually. Lucky
Right.
guess. 3 out of 4. Right. Question 5. On which
Right.
English test ground did you have your best first class bowling record? In other words, which test ground in England did you have your best first class bowling record, i.e. wickets and low average? So what was your favourite hunting ground, really, of
All right.
English first class test grounds?
I'll go with Old Trafford.
He's got it!
Very good. 50 wickets at 18. Did you only play them when it was dark or something?
Next question.
4 out of 5. Question 6. Very good. You're doing well. Question
Hey, but
6.
I don't know whether it's one of your questions, but that's my that's where I got my best score as well. Old
Well,
Trafford.
I'm not bothering with that. Right. Question 6. You scrambled the winning single off the last ball of the 1981 Natwest Final, which of course we've seen. How many did you score in that game?
How many?
What was your score in that game? You
Oh,
personally.
I've got to get spot on, have I?
Well, I'll give you within 1 or 2.
27.
Mm. 22 not
20.
out.
Eh?
22. 4 out of 6. Question 7. How many test 50s did you make? 5, 6 or 7?
Cool. Test 50s. 5, 6 or 7. India, Pakistan, Australia. I'll go with Australia, Pakistan, India, New Zealand. I'll go with 6.
7.
No. Well,
You've forgotten one. Never
it should
mind.
be 8. I got 50 against Sri Lanka as well.
Anyway, that's 5. That's 4 out of 7.
4 out of 7. I can confirm that.
Question 8. Who was dismissed to leave you stranded on 98 not out, your highest test score?
Bob Willis.
He's got it!
God rest his soul. And what was the circumstances?
What do you mean?
What
Is
happened?
that a question? Is that a question as well?
No, it's a little extra.
I was.
So you were 98 not out. You went to number 6. About 3 people were out for naught. Then you and Goose put on a few.
Yeah.
What happened?
Abdul Kadir bowled him a googly, which he got nowhere near. It hit him on the top of the pad and was caught round the corner and was given out.
Were you trying to farm the strike at that point?
Yeah, well, I turned a lot of runs down, to actually make it, so he didn't have to strike much, But he did well. He did really well, the Goose, to last that long.
Okay, sad, shame. Okay, right. Well, you got that right anyway. So that is 5 out of 8.
5 out of 8.
Right, 2 to go. Question 9. Which off spinner had the best test average out of you? This is bowling average. Best test batting bowling average out of you, John Embry, and Eddie Hemmings.
Best test average?
So I'll ask the question again. Which off spinner had the best test bowling average out of you, John Embry, and Eddie Hemmings?
Me.
You sure?
Yeah.
He's got it!
By quite a long way, actually.
Yeah.
Miller averaged 30.98, Embry 38.4,
Yeah.
Hemmings 42.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's surprising. Does that surprise you, didn't it?
I thought Embers would be better. I didn't think the whale was that good a bowler, really. And anyway, no, not really. I mean, it's horses. It's good effort. Right. Question 10, final question. Now, this is one I'll be interested to see what you think of this question. How many Millers have played more than one test match in the world? So for any country. And it's not a trick question, but there are 2. There's Audley Miller, who played one test in about 1895, and there's Nikita Miller, who's played one test for the West Indies. So I'm discounting those. So how many Millers have played a decent number of tests, basically? Okay, I'm going to give you, if you've got no idea, I'm going to give, is it 3, 5, or 9?
3.
Who are they?
My dad?
No.
Yeah, my dad. What's my dad's name? Or what?
Was it Keith?
Correct.
Oh, okay, yeah. Keith Miller, yeah. And
there's Geoff Miller, Keith Miller,
and
Edmund Miller.
Colin Miller.
So I said.
Australia.
That's what I said.
He's got it!
Well done. You got 7 out of 10.
That's not bad, is it? How did Collingwood get 10 out of 10?
Well, Collingwood just knew that stuff. And one silly question was about, I showed him a picture of a nightclub in Cape Town. And I said, what happened there? And he had to admit that he went there as England captain and got into trouble. So there was sort of 1 or 2 kind of cryptic questions. But one question was about, I don't know, what was his best score for England in some great game. And he went upstairs and he had the scoreboard on his bloody wall. Anyway, well done. 7 out of 10. So that's a creditable score.
Right.
Go back to school and just, do a little bit more studying, and you can come back on and see if you can get 8 or 9. So final question for me is actually, serious point. You've had a bloody good life. You've had 34 tests and, won all sorts of things in county cricket and all that. You've been a national selector who won the Ashes, got England to number 1 in the world and won the World T20. And you have won the award as Best Arctic Speaker 3 years running. So which of those would you like to take home? You know, what's your most proud achievement out of the 3? I mean, which one do you want put on your gravestone?
What's my proudest achievement?
He's gone.
He just there you go.
Your OBE. Very good. Love it. And by the way, before you go, show us that picture of that picture you had behind you on the left there of you, Beefy, and something. What was that?
That was
your grandchild.
That one. That was the
Goose.
Peacock Hotel in Rowsley. When they went walking in the Peak District, and we all had a meal together. And my grandson, just been born then.
Yeah,
I had a photograph, Beefy holding him with the great goose next to him. You know, there were 3 good. You talk about making mates in the game of cricket when the game's finished. You talked about Australia. Did you have friends with? They were 3 great mates. The goose, the beef, and the dust. Yeah,
superb. Yeah. Have you got the one of you saying goodbye to Hendo picture handy? No.
Saying goodbye to Hendo.
No, that last where you all got together with Mike Hendrick.
Just a minute. It'll be on my phone. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can. Just a minute.
Well, I'll tell you what, send it to me and I'll post it on the group if that's all right.
Just a minute.
Don't worry, everyone. We'll only be here till midnight.
Got it.
Did you take it?
No, I'm on it.
Oh. You'll have to hold it up a bit higher. We can't see that.
That's the group.
That's too close now. Go back a bit. Oh, yeah. That's that. No, bit closer. It's like Bernie the Bolt, this, isn't it? Brilliant. Wow. Yeah. We can't see it that well, actually, but
No.
Can you send that to me and we can post it on our group? Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
all right, send it after we finish then. Send me that
Yeah.
and I'll post it on our WhatsApp group.
I'll send you the picture and also send you the video that I talked to you about.
Yeah, and probably you'll send me the bill as well. But I won't, for your bill, I mean. But I won't probably reply to that message. Listen, thank you.
Listen, if I can't do something from the world of cricket to help out the world of cricket without charging for it, then it's a very sad time. But having said that, I haven't turned anything for 2 years, so I will send you a bill. That's all right. Yeah, don't worry.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah.
No, hey, it's been a pleasure.
No, it's lovely to hear from you. Actually,
I'll tell you what was interesting, and you might not have grasped it. A lot of the questions that were asked, majority of the questions are about selection, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, that is something that people find intriguing. I guess we all have a go, don't we? Actually, and also there's been a few problems with it recently, so it is a talking point.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know whether Andy's going to stay in that position or whether somebody else is going to take that position. But it'll be interesting to see if they're going to change it all around again.
What, Strauss? You mean Straussy?
Yeah.
No, Straussy is not going to be doing that. No.
Absolutely, exactly. Somebody will do it. So, whoever does it, are they going to revert back to the old the selection process, and B, who are going to be those selectors?
Yeah.
That matters as well. It's not,
of course.
Selection's not about ego. Selection is about doing the job for the country. That's what it's about.
So my final question is: when is the Dusty Miller tour of theatres and clubs coming. Everyone else has done a bloody tour.
No. I don't think. If people ask me to go and speak at dinners, then I'll go and speak. But I would never say, well, I need to go and I need to do a financially rewarding tour.
So the Great Yarmouth Hippodrome doesn't have any attraction for you then?
If there was a cricket function there, yeah, or some kind of function there, a proper function, as opposed to me just turning up and saying, right, would you like to come and listen to me waffle? Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I once did when I was doing some. I did some with Aggie and Gat.
Oh yeah,
I did some theatre things. And I remember speaking at a dinner. We're talking about driving. I spoke at a dinner in Gowerton. I did Gowerton Cricket Club one night. And the following night, I was in, what's the place in Norfolk?
Kings Lynn?
No, it begins with C, right on
Cromer.
the coast. Cromer, yeah, I did Cromer the night after. And then the night after that, I did Swansea. So I got that geography wrong, mate, that one.
God, bloody hell, brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. You must have been driving all day and all night. Do you still do that thing? I seem to remember on one occasion you sort of left your shoes. You drive and you keep a pair of shoes in the car, don't you? You have driving shoes and then you put your after dinner shoes on and you accidentally got them wrong way round or something and you ended up doing a dinner in trainers and your after dinner shoes in the car or something. Yeah.
I've done that, yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway, listen, we've all got to go to bed now because
yes,
we've been on here for about 2 hours. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And anybody who happens to hear that he's on in your local club, give it a miss. All right. Dusty, thank you very much. You're an absolute star.
Oh, no. Cheers. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
And you too.
Great to see you. Thanks.
And you.
All the best.
Okay.
See you.